I had to add this little piece in because some new news has developed since I did this video about 3 hours ago. Well, actually, the video you're about to hear. So it's looking like Terence Crawford is going to be returning in August at the Crypto Center. I call it the Staples Center, you know, over in LA. You know, Lakers play there. And it's looking like he's going to be facing Israil Madrimov. So looking like it's not going to be Omaha, but in August in Los Angeles. Take your time out, like the video, subscribe. And what you're about to hear after this is the video I did 3 hours ago before this news came out from Barbosa Box, Salvador from ESPN down in Mexico about the fight being in LA. Thanks for watching. This is probably one of the worst kept secrets in boxing right now, that Terence Crawford is linked to the Saudis, who have a now growing stable, and it's rumored that they're trying to make their entrance into U.S. boxing, meaning actually putting fights on over here in the States. It's no secret that Terence Crawford has been flirting with the Saudis. Samson Lukovitz, the promoter handler of Sebastian Fundora, who obviously got that controversial win over Tszyu for the vacant WBC and Tszyu's WBO title, he said that the Saudis, Terence Crawford, on behalf of the Saudis, sent Sebastian Fundora a contract. But yet they can't fight until at least November or so because Sebastian Fundora has a broken nose and was suspended by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, despite the fact that he can fight anywhere else. I'm TstreeT Controversy with Fight View 360. As you can see here, Terence Crawford posts the shh emojis as if we don't see that Turkey Al-Sheikh has posted him here. He's the funder of Radia's season and who's been grateful gracious to us boxing fans here to actually give us fights frequently from our top heavyweights. With now Deontay Wilder fighting Zhang, fighting Joseph Parker, Francis Ngannou fighting Fury and Joshua fighting Al-Walin, Joe Parker fighting Zhang, and all this has happened in the last 6 months. 6 months all this has happened. So the rumor is Terence Crawford is going to be taking on Israil Madrimov for the WBA title at 150 pounds, 54 pounds. And Madrimov is also a Matchroom Saudi fighter. So do not be surprised if it's going to be Eddie Hearn for the Saudis that are going to be representing Terence Crawford. The reason why I don't say Frank Warren is because Frank Warren's ties with ESPN and Bob Burnham. After all, there's bad blood between Terence Crawford and Bob Burnham, Top Rank, despite the fact that Terence Crawford is seen at several Top Rank events with Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis, because, of course, Bomac. And even if it's not Bomac events, you can see him at Top Rank events, but he did sue Bob Burnham and pretty much called him a racist in that lawsuit. We did that video a long time ago. So just Google Terence Crawford, Bob Burnham racist lawsuit, and you'll be able to find all the information that you need. So Israil Madrimov is a very good Eastern European-ish, stylish type fighter. He's got some pop on his punches. I've been covering him for years. I actually talked to him years ago on a Zoom call. I think it was for COVID when he was the mandatory for Jamal Charlo. I think it was before one of these fights. I do not know. It had to be before. I think it was before this Eric Walker fight. I think it was around this time. I'm not sure. One of these fights. It might have been this one. But long story short, the 154-pound division seems to be kind of all over the place right now. Sebastian Fundora and Tszyu are supposed to be fighting in an immediate rematch. And it looks like Terence Crawford is opting to go the WBA route, which I think is the right thing to do. Right now, the strategic thing to do is to try to get his hands on that belt because PBC is circling. They showed their hand on what they're trying to do with Errol Spence getting into the ring to challenge Sebastian Fundora instead of taking the rematch with Terence Crawford at 147 or 154. Bakhram Murtazaliev is the IBF champion after defeating Jack Kuke in a fight where I do admit I was a little bit harsh on Murtazaliev, forgetting that he was training during Ramadan, but he's been a long-time IBF manager since about since about 2019 or so. So for him to just be getting a shot is just wild. Sergey Bohachuk is the WBC interim champion, mandatory for Sebastian Fundora. So as you can see, the major players right now, and Jermell Charlo is the champion in resets, but I doubt he'll be coming back down to 154 when he returns, if he returns. So the major movers and shakers right now in the division is obviously Terence Crawford's up there now being WBO mandatory, Sebastian Fundora, Tim Tszyu, Bakr and Murtazaliev. By the way, I apologize. I'm just getting over the flu. So that's why I sound a little different and probably stammering on my words a little bit. But the major players, Terence Crawford, Sebastian Fundora, Tszyu, Bakr and Murtazaliev. Eric Salubin's in the mix too because he's supposed to be the mandatory or the next in line for Murtazaliev. Israil Madrimov, Virgil Ortiz Jr., Charles Conwell because he's the next WBC mandatory. Bohachuk, Fundora, and Jesus Ramos is right there outside, like knocking on the doors. So it's a you can't, I don't want to say really stacked, but in my opinion, the only fighters that we really have to worry about is Terence Crawford, Tszyu, Madrimov. I'm talking about like skill-wise. Madrimov, Virgil Ortiz, and then Bohachuk. And I mean, of course, you have to count, Fundora. But in reality, I think that Terence Crawford beats everyone up there. And I have high stock in Virgil Ortiz, but I still have to see a little bit more of him at 154 pounds. He's returning, by the way, soon in a bullshit fight. 147 pounds. Terence Crawford still has his WBC and WBA belts, with Stanionis is returning against Gabriel Mastri on the undercard of Canelo versus Munguia. Mario Barrios is returning also on the undercard of Canelo versus Munguia against, I forgot who Mario Barrios is fighting. Let me check real quick, my bad. Hold on. Forgot who you fighting, Mario Barrios. Fabian Maidana, who's not even ranked, by the way. Not even ranked by the WBC, as you can see, anywhere, or any sanctioning bodies, as you can see, and getting a title shot. Shenanigans. And Boots In is now signed with Matchroom. I wouldn't be surprised if the Saudis can make that fight, but will Terence Crawford fight Madrimov at 154? And then move back down to fight Boots, or will Boots have to move up? Boots has often been talking about moving up in weight, by the way, too. He's never really talked about being undisputed at 147 pounds. So could he move up and possibly get Terence Crawford? Could we see Terence Crawford versus Madrimov and then Boots Ennis? I won't count that out. Boots Ennis is supposed to return in June or July, by the way, in Philadelphia, likely against Cody Crowley, who just so happens is one of the reasons why Boots Ennis left PBC. Basically, Cody Crowley has been kind of pricing himself out. He's been trying to get $1 million, according to an article I read on Ring Magazine, to fight Boots Ennis. Like, wild. I don't even think he's worth that much. And the crazy thing is, that fight against him and Ennis don't generate that much money, so I don't know what's going on with him. But once Terence Crawford steps up and wins any belt at 154 pounds, from my understanding, he automatically loses his WBO. The same thing happened with Jermell Charlo when he stepped up to 168 to fight Canelo. But I just thought I'd give you a little quick update what's going on. I'm guessing we're going to expect some news sometime soon, whether it's from Queensberry. You think Frank Warren going to get him? I think it's going to be Matchroom. But interesting news nonetheless. And this fight with Madrimov will be a different type of fighter that Terence Crawford has fought. I mean, the closest to the Eastern European style you can get was basically when he fought Victor Postol years ago. Like, when we talk about technicians, who's the last somewhat technician he fought? Postol, Felix Diaz, you can somewhat consider him a technician. Amir Khan, I'm not counting that. And Kavalaskis, somewhat. And, of course, Errol Spence. Somebody posted in the comments that Terence Crawford beat the truth out of Spence. With that being said, pay attention to this space. Terence Crawford doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Canelo doesn't seem to want any parts of him. The Jermell Charlo fight doesn't seem to be going anywhere. And do not be surprised if the 3 fights for Terence Crawford is going to be Madrimov, Boots Ennis, and maybe Spence Fundora winner. But the big news we got, and this was a few weeks ago, is that a deal was made And that was the first major hint. A deal was made on behalf of Terence Crawford from the Saudis. Now, I think that the perfect move for the Saudis to get into the American market is to have Terence Crawford's homecoming fight after beating Errol Spence be in Omaha against Madrimov. You know the tickets are going to sell. Pay-per-view, Crawford versus Madrimov, not so much. But who knows? We don't know what type of buzz or what type of boost that Terence Crawford's going to get in pay-per-view sales from the way he beat Errol Spence. He wasn't a big pay-per-view seller before, but who knows? Maybe he can get to a point where he can sell 150,000, maybe 200,000 pay-per-views on his own, kind of like Canelo. No matter who Canelo fight in this day and age, it used to be more, but right now, no matter who Canelo fight, on what platform, average, you can get at least 300,000. Tank, you can get at least 200,000 from him, if you've been really, really following. But who knows? Maybe Crawford may be up there. Maybe his profile is boosted so much where people are going to be like, oh, shit, Terence Crawford back? Who he fighting? Oh, whoever, but he back, whatever, Let's see, though. And also the promotion that Matchroom and the Saudis can put behind Crawford could also help raise his profile. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to TstreeT Controversy with 5U360.